Natalie Sideserf here of Sideserf Cake Studio, and I'm gonna show you how I made a Naruto cake. As you can see, he has quite a bit of spiky hair, and I have a way to get you through that isn't making individual triangles. So I'm gonna show you how. I love hearing all of your ideas, and the best way to reach out to me to let me know what you wanna see made into cake is going to patreon.com/sideserfcakes and becoming a patron. If you like cakes and you like this cake and you like all of our cakes, subscribe to our channel because we put out a new cake every Monday. Let's get started. Let's start with a round layer of vanilla cake. I place it directly on my cake board, and then I take my template, place that on the layer of cake, and cut around it. Don't worry about all the little spikes in his hair or his ears, you just want the basic shape. Then I take my small serrated knife and I carve out the basic shape of the face and the collar. For my second layer of cake, I used the scraps that I already cut off that first layer. You don't want to waste, so I just piece them together. So then I just go around and round things out, add a little more for the hair, and try to keep it simple. Then you want to cover the entire thing in buttercream. This is called a crumb coat, and you just want a nice, smooth, thin amount of buttercream covering the entire cake. Then you take some modeling chocolate, and I placed it just over the face. And I'm going to cut away anything that isn't covering the face. Then I take my template and I take a sculpting tool and I draw out where the eyes and the nose and the mouth are. Perfect! No, that's hideous. That face looks really bad, but really the reason you do that is you're using those lines as a guide. So now I know where the eyes need to be, the nose needs to be, and the mouth needs to be. Then I can take some sculpting tools and start to add the real shapes and make sure that everything looks nice and pretty. I added a little bit of extra chocolate sometimes. You can see I did in the chin and with the nose. And that's because the chin and the nose are so small that you can just go in and add chocolate rather than adding cake. I'm just adding these details, making sure that the sizes match my template. I took a pea-sized amount of white modeling chocolate, I placed it on the eye, and I just work that chocolate into the eye shape that I already sculpted. So I do that for both eyes. This is a nice flat tool. Then I add the blue of his eyes. It's just a small amount of chocolate, I place it directly on the eye, and then I work it into that round shape. Same goes for the little whites in his eyes and also his pupil. You could do this with fondant if you wanted to cut out the circle before you place it on. I just like to work this way because I'm using all modeling chocolate. Modeling chocolate, when it's super small scale, is really hard to work with because it gets really soft. So that's why I add the eyes in this way. Since this is a cartoon, I want to add some dramatic black outlines. So I added those around his eyes. Then you add his eyebrows and his ears. You cover his yellow hair. And I started to sculpt out the triangular hair shapes. So you can see I even use scissors. That's a nice way to make a perfect triangle. You just snip right into that chocolate. So when I rolled that chocolate out, it's a little bit thick, and that way I have something to work with and sculpt. This is much easier than going in and trying to add individual triangles. Just work with that layer of modeling chocolate that you placed over top the cake. Next comes his headband. So he's got that blue headband, and that is just modeling chocolate. And I'm just cleaning it up with the tools and adding a fabric look to it. Then I cover the collar in all white modeling chocolate, and I take a sculpting tool and sculpt in all the lines. Finally, he's got the hair behind his ears as if that was the back of his hair. And he has a metal plate that's on his headband. I use a sculpting tool that's nice and pointed, and I'm drawing out the shapes that I see in his headband. I happen to have a little piping tip that has a circular shape, which is perfect for adding these little screws on the sides. So when I add these thin black outlined areas, I actually hand paint those with black food color. I like the nice thick one on the top, and then there's thinner lines on the bottom. I love a variety of line thicknesses. I think it makes for a more interesting design. And he's got his whiskers. I added 3 dots, and those are going to help guide me for where I want the whiskers to go. That way you know the distance between each line is correct. Then I went in and added the silver in the zipper on his headband and the orange in the collar. And there you have it, a Naruto cake. Who doesn't love anime?